So, as I was saying, the Iran deal now goes to Congress, but they can't renegotiate it because the deal isn't just between the US and Iran, it's between all of these parties, and they have been pretty clear where they stand.
EU leaders are defending the current agreement, and the UK, Germany and France all say they are committed to the deal as is.
Yeah, of course they don't want to reopen the deal. That's not how deals work. If you buy a lamp on Craigslist for $40, then the deal is one person gets $40, one person gets a lamp. Also, one of you will get murdered, but figuring out who gets murdered and how is really the joie de vivre of Craigslist. And as Iran's foreign minister points out, this decision may severely limit the ability of Trump, or indeed any future presidents, to make deals from now on.
Nobody else would trust any U.S. administration to engage in any long-term negotiation, because the length of any commitment, the duration of any commitment from now on with any U.S. administration would be the reminder of the term of that president.
And that is a huge problem. Countries need to know that America will honour its agreements, because if they don't, that's going to be an issue no matter who that next president is, whether it's President Warren or President Kaine or, let's be honest, more likely President Donald Jr., followed by President Eric, followed by President Jared and Ivanka. There is no reason to expect that that won't happen. So this Iran deal decision is equal parts dangerous and bizarre. Trump is asking Congress to fix a deal they don't realistically have the ability to fix, fixes, incidentally, that may violate the deal itself, which already has a process for restoring sanctions if Iran doesn't comply, which, remember, everyone agrees that they are doing. And he also threatened to pull out of the deal himself, even though his Secretary of State had already said that he wouldn't. But who knows if those two are even speaking anymore, considering Tillerson apparently called Trump a fucking moron, and Trump publicly challenged him to an IQ contest this week. Look, as foreign policies go, this is incoherent. You can't call it realism or idealism or neoliberalism. You can barely even call it foreign policy. Honestly, the thing it's closest to is a scared monkey in a submarine randomly pushing buttons. And sure, that might be fun to watch until it suddenly hits you. Oh shit, we're all on the submarine with that fucking monkey. And now, this.
And now, it's on. And that means only one thing.
Oh, boy. Pumpkin spice latte. This is a whole season and a cup of coffee, isn't it?
Yeah, pumpkin spice latte.
It is now officially pumpkin spice latte time.
Right.
Try to walk in and get a pumpkin spice in the summer. You can't get it.
No, you can't. Pumpkin spice latte.
And the pumpkin spice latte, have you had it? Holy cow, that one sent me to the moon.
Jim Cramer loves pumpkin spice latte.
You know, I'm waiting for the pumpkin latte, and I'm trying to lose weight, so I had to stay away from it. The pumpkin latte.
Shut up! Just drink it! Pumpkin spice latte!
Forget about the leaves. As soon as Starbucks has that pumpkin spice latte, or PSL.
Good one, Steve.
When they take away the pumpkin spice latte, I cry a little.
Don't cry, handsome actor man. Pumpkin spice latte will return.
Pumpkin spice lattes are delicious. They seem wholesome, and after all, they're only a beverage. But are they also racist?
Fuck you! Pumpkin spice latte!
By the way, love your pumpkin spice latte color tie.
I've got so much to tell you. I was so ahead of this curve, but I didn't want to go. Pumpkin latte.
Is it X-rated?
Are big.
Is it
No, it's not X-rated.
Wait, what? Did he fuck a pumpkin spice latte? Pumpkin spice latte!
The bigger deal is this new maple pecan latte. All right, so this is going to push the pumpkin spice to the side.
Fuck maple pecan! Pumpkin spice lattes forever!
All of this. There has been chaos in the White House this week, particularly surrounding Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, a man who, in every photo, looks like he just sold someone a top-of-the-line Weber grill. well, it seems that relations between Tillerson and the president have hit an all-time low.
A report rocketing around Washington. NBC News reporting Tillerson had called Trump a moron.
Yeah, a moron. Now, to be fair, the State Department denied that report, which actually prompted NBC to issue a crucial clarification that he'd actually called him a fucking moron, which led to this amazing TV debate.
Was it moron or effing moron?
It's unclear. but, you know, it's...
I just feel like there's a little bit of a difference.
I mean, it was definitely more on.
I mean, I guess this is just the type of discussion that we now have on TV. Does the Secretary of State think the President is a moron or a fucking moron? Because if it's just moron, that actually makes him a moderate. And look, the breakdown in this relationship is clearly very funny, but it could have serious consequences because foreign powers may not negotiate with a diplomat that they don't believe has the President's support. And if Tillerson goes, he might not go alone.
There is, quote, a reported suicide pact forged between Mattis, Mnuchin, and Tillerson, whereby all three cabinet secretaries vow to leave in the event that the president makes moves against one of them.
That's right. Apparently, these three cabinet members have a pact to quit if one of them is fired, which makes sense, except Mnuchin? I mean, he's sexy. Yeah, the guy's a perfect 10. But we all agree on that. But Mnuchin threatening to resign is a bit like a bee threatening to fly out of a car. OK, fucking go there. And that instability within the administration is even more concerning given the most terrifying statement that the President gave this week.
The President raised a lot of eyebrows with this comment about the military leaders he invited to the White House. Take a look.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
What are you talking about? For a start, no moment in the preceding 9 months has been even remotely calm. It's like we're 2 hours into a Slipknot concert and they just said, enough ballads, now we're going to play one that rocks. And who knows what that means? He could mean decertifying the Iran nuclear deal. It could mean launching all-out war with North Korea. It could mean a military strike on Puerto Rico. Or it could mean nothing whatsoever, because, and here I am directly quoting the Secretary of State, I cannot emphasise this enough, these are his words, not mine, it is vulgar and I frankly do not approve of this type of language. Our President is a fucking moron. And now, this.
Hillary and Obama want to make you poor and pathetic. We have all their white papers. They hate you. They hate prosperity. They hate God. They hate children. And goddamn them to hell.
That man is Alex Jones. And that is actually him at his most presentable. That is Alex Jones at a job interview. That's Alex Jones meeting his girlfriend's parents for the first time. Now, in his more outspoken moments, Jones has argued that the government has the ability to control tornadoes, that the Boston Marathon bombing was a false flag attack, and that tap water is a gay bomb, and that they are putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. And then there is the Sandy Hook school shooting.
Yeah, so Sandy Hook is a synthetic, completely fake, with actors, in my view, manufactured. I couldn't believe it at first. I knew they had actors there, clearly, but I thought they killed some real kids. And it just shows how bold they are, that they clearly used actors.
Now, that is not just offensive, it's stupid. If the government had actually hired child actors, there is no way their stage parents would have stopped talking about it. Well, he didn't get the Tide commercial, but he did book a leading role in a government-sponsored false flag attack. It's the same director who did the moon landing. We're very excited. Trump is apparently such a fan that Alex Jones himself has said it is surreal to talk about issues here on air and then word for word hear Trump say it 2 days later. And I would be sceptical of that if Trump hadn't gone on Jones's show and said this.
I just want to finish by saying your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope. And I think we'll be speaking a lot.
You know what? I guess it makes sense that Donald Trump wants to impress Alex Jones. Why would you want to drain the swamp if not to eradicate all those gay frogs? You stay there. You two stay where you are. This is really dangerous, though, because there is a pattern here. Trump sees something that jibes with his worldview, doesn't check it, half remembers it, and then passes it on, at which point it takes on a life of its own and appears to validate itself. Let me try and show you that machine in action. Trump's constant claim that millions of people voted illegally originated, as far as anyone can tell, from some dude on Twitter who claimed in November, while providing no evidence, we have verified more than 3 million votes cast by non-citizens. The next day, InfoWars picked that up and it spread like jet fuel among the right-wing sites. Now, it was quickly debunked by multiple outlets, but despite that, days later, President-elect Trump started tweeting about millions of illegal votes and serious voter fraud in states like California. And by early December, people were on TV expressing similar concerns.
Voting is a privilege in this country, and you need to be legal, not like California, where 3 million illegals voted.
Where are you getting your information?
From the media.
And that right there actually answers our third question of why so many people believe Trump. Because if you get your news from similar sources to him, as many people do, he doesn't look like a crank. He looks like the first president ever to tell you the real truth. But rumours can be really tenacious, and I'll prove it. What rumour do you think of when you hear the name Richard Gere? Well, here's the thing. There is no proof that he did that. If you think about it, it's ridiculous. Have you ever held one of those things? There's no way it was possible. But if the president went on TV and told you it was true, you'd go, I knew it, thank you, I knew it. Finally someone said it. But that loop gets much more dangerous when you're not talking about something as silly as gerbils. Trump validated his supporters' beliefs about voter fraud, and in turn, they validated his. Because even when he was directly confronted with the lack of evidence, this is how he responded.
You know what's important? Millions of people agree with me when I say that. If you would have looked on one of the other networks and all of the people that were calling in, they're saying, we agree with Mr. Trump, we agree. They're very smart people.
Right, but just because they believe you and you believe them doesn't make it true. This isn't like Peter Pan, where believing in fairies will keep Tinkerbell alive. This isn't a magic thing, Peter. She has Lou Gehrig's disease. And maybe instead of clapping, you should have done the ice bucket challenge, then she'd still be alive. I'm sorry, Peter, but she's dying. Tinkerbell's dying.
A new report from USA Today found Trump and his businesses have been involved in at least 3,500 lawsuits over 3 decades.
3,500 lawsuits. That is unprecedented for a presidential nominee. In fact, if each lawsuit involving Trump were the basis of an episode of Law & Order, they could sustain all 456 episodes of the original, all 389 episodes of Law & Order SVU, all 195 episodes of Law & Order Criminal Intent, and all 22 episodes of Law & Order LA, as well as every episode of The Practice, Ally McBeal, LA Law, Boston Legal, Night Court, The Good Wife, Matlock, Jag, Perry Mason, Judging Amy, The Guardian, The Public Defender, Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law, Harry's Law, Courthouse, Suits, Family Law, Sweet Justice, 1971's The DA, 2004's The DA, Reasonable Doubts, Damages, Shark, The Defenders, The Paper Chase, Head Cases, Judd for the Defence, and all 3 episodes of NBC's First Years, and at that point you're still missing 1 lawsuit, but you've also basically run out of television shows about lawyers, meaning Trump's lawsuits exceed the limits of the fucking genre. Well, lately, there have been some new developments with Trump-related litigation after he complained about a judge presiding over 2 particular cases against him.
I have a judge who is a hater of Donald Trump. A hater. He's a hater. His name is Gonzalo Curiel. And he is not doing the right thing. The judge, who happens to be, we believe, Mexican, which is great. I think that's fine.
Oh, you do you? You think that's fine? Great news, people of Mexican descent. Donald Trump thinks it's fine for you to be a human being existing on this planet. Now, for the record, the judge in question was born in Indiana, but that's not the point. Because, as he later clarified, it was the judge's Mexican heritage that made him unfit to judge Trump.
You're invoking his race when talking about whether or not he can do his job.
Jack, I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I'm trying to keep business out of Mexico. Mexico's fine. There's nothing...
But he's an American.
He's of Mexican heritage, and he's very proud of it, as I am where I come from.
Wait, where exactly are you from? Because you look like you came out of a clogged drain at the Wonka factory, and you know what? That's great. I think that's fine. But Think about what he's implying there. The judge is unfit to do his job because of his ethnic background. And just this morning, Trump took it a step further.
What if he was a Muslim, though? You've been very tough on temporary Muslim immigration ban. If it were a Muslim judge, would you also feel like they wouldn't be able to treat you fairly because of that policy of yours?
It's possible, yes. Yeah, that would be possible, absolutely.
I would say that was the dictionary definition of bigotry, except after this campaign, the definition of bigotry might just become see Trump, Donald. Now, as it happens, the judge he initially insulted is overseeing cases involving the controversial Trump University, and he ordered a cache of documents to be released this week, which was very exciting to us, because we actually looked into his university when we did our big piece on Trump back in February, and it wound up on this very long list of awful Donald Trump stories that we literally didn't have time to delve into, even in a 22-minute piece. But once we started reading through these new documents, we figured, oh, fuck it, let's take some time to talk about it now. Because Trump University is kind of amazing. Back when it opened, Trump made some big claims.
At Trump University, we teach success. That's what it's all about, success. It's going to happen to you if you don't learn from the people that we're going to be putting forward, and these are all people that are hand-picked by me, then you're just not going to make it in terms of the world of success.
The world of success? It sounds like what Donald Trump calls his bedroom. Welcome to the world of success. Please enjoy a mint and a non-disclosure agreement. Now, unfortunately, Trump University ran into problems in several states, starting with the name itself.
We started looking at Trump University and discovered that it was a classic bait-and-switch scheme. It was a scam, starting with the fact that it was not a university.
Joining us, and let us dive right in with President Trump, the bachelor in paradise of American presidents. And unfortunately, we have to start with the fact that on Thursday, the president sent a series of disgusting tweets about Morning Joe's Mika Brzezinski, tweets that were absolutely indefensible. And yet, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the least amusing cast member in a direct-to-DVD faith-based romantic comedy, gave it her very best shot.
I think that the president has been attacked mercilessly on personal accounts by members on that program. And I think he's been very clear that when he gets attacked, he's going to hit back.
You know what? She's kind of right about that. Trump is basically a walrus wearing a T-shirt that says, I have diarrhea. He's pretty open about how grossly shitty he can be. So we can't really be shocked when he suddenly is. But that news actually overshadowed a development regarding the president's travel ban, which the administration has long maintained is not a ban, despite what you may have heard from biased mainstream media outlets like the President of the United States and The Dictionary. You may remember Trump's original executive order halted all refugee admissions and temporarily barred people from 7 Muslim-majority countries. It was met with widespread protests and dozens of lawsuits resulting in courts placing both the ban and Trump's subsequent revision of that ban on hold. And this week, the Supreme Court got to weigh in.
The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled to partially reinstate the president's highly controversial travel ban before hearing arguments on the case in October.
Yes, at first the ban was banned, but now the court has partially banned the ban, instituting a partial ban pending the possibility of a future partial ban. Now, the court did impose some restrictions, saying it couldn't apply to anyone with a credible claim of a bona fide relationship with a person or entity in the United States. So the natural question there is, what constitutes a bona fide relationship? And the Trump administration took a swing at answering that.
The State Department has narrowly defined that as a parent or child, including in-laws, a sibling, or a spouse. The guidelines for who is considered close family does not include grandparents, aunts or uncles, nieces or nephews, cousins, and brothers or sisters-in-law.
Whoa. Grandparents aren't close family? Good luck telling them that. Because that would require calling them, which would mean a 12 or 13-minute conversation at minimum, a conversation that would inevitably involve being asked whether you remember Jerry Flaxman. You know, Jerry Flaxman, who used to live down the street. Jerry Flaxman. You remember him. He had the daughter with the internet business and she's gay now. Flaxman. What was her name? Jamie? Either Jamie or Amanda. Right. Samantha Flaxman. Anyway, her father is Jerry Flaxman and, well, he's dead now. And look, while the definition of the ban is ridiculous, the impacts of it are very real, particularly for refugees, since the administration has decided that being assisted by a refugee resettlement agency does not constitute a bona fide relationship, which means thousands of desperate people who've gone through exhaustive vetting and have been approved to come here have now been left in the lurch, which is absolutely shameful. And yet, for some, it's actually no big deal. An attitude best exemplified by human lacrosse stick Tucker Carlson, who asked, #Tucker, why does America benefit from having tons of people from failing countries come here? A question that made the Statue of Liberty give up and drown herself in the Hudson River. And if I may just point out, Tux, just because a nation is failing doesn't mean it can't produce some amazing people. Just as, and I think we all know who Exhibit A for this is, a successful nation can produce some truly failed human beings. #Tucker. And look, this ban is cruel, it's unnecessary, and it undermines our standing in the world. So you would think the president would at least be justifying its existence. Instead, he keeps derailing the conversation with his barrage of bullshit. And there is simply no better example of this than the fact that just this morning, ABC's This Week had a Homeland Security advisor on to discuss the ban, but they never got around to it because they had to address yet another unhinged tweet. And just watch the guy's face as he realises what he's about to have to talk about.
I want to get to security questions and security concerns, but we've just had the president tweet a GIF that I want you to take a look at.
Welcome to Last Week Tonight. I'm John Oliver. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's dive straight in with the latest instalment in what we're calling Stupid Watergate. Something with all the potential national shame of Watergate brought to you by people too stupid to grasp the concept of shame. Now, this week, former FBI director and worst person to sit behind in a movie theatre, James Comey, got everybody's attention.
Breaking news tonight, striking revelations and allegations from James Comey. Under oath, telling Congress he has no doubt he was fired because of the Russia investigation.
Now, it was undeniably dramatic, but the notion that Comey was fired because of the Russia investigation isn't actually new or controversial. It is easy to forget, but Trump himself suggested as much in an interview just a month ago. So it's more a known fact that many people choose to ignore, like a pet snake is a character flaw, or DJs aren't doing anything up there. But nevertheless, James Comey, the result of a more security guard's drunken hookup with an oak tree, did testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee, and within 3 minutes, he had forcefully addressed Trump's initial excuse for firing him.
Saying that the organization was in disarray, that it was poorly led, that the workforce had lost confidence in its leader. Those were lies, plain and simple.
Well, hold on there, because let's be honest here. Donald Trump's lies are never plain and simple. Each one is like an everlasting gobstopper. You'll never make it through every layer because it was produced by an insane person who should never be in charge of anything. You're a good Candyman, Willie, but the Oompa Loompas have been shitting in the chocolate river and you're about to leave your estate to the only child you didn't nearly murder today. You have no business running a factory. And that was just one of many times Comey questioned the president's credibility. Just listen to the amazing reason that Comey gave for taking detailed notes on his meetings with Trump.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document.
He is describing his meeting with the president like a person who thought he was about to be murdered. Well, all of a sudden, we were alone, so I texted my location to a friend and tried to get some of his DNA under my fingernails. And look, it is a good thing that Comey, a disgruntled giraffe who was somehow cursed by a warlock to head the FBI, did take notes, because some of his encounters with the president got pretty weird, like the infamous dinner where Trump allegedly asked for his loyalty.
How unusual is it to have a one-on-one dinner
with the president. Did that strike you as odd?
Yeah, so much so that I assumed there would be others, that he couldn't possibly be having dinner with me alone.
Yeah, he was tricked into a one-on-one dinner with Donald Trump, which is definitely not the first time that that has happened. Comey is just lucky, frankly, that Trump didn't try and pull the old hole-in-a-bucket of popcorn trick. And look, let's all admit, it is also better to have a dinner alone with Trump than have Jared Kushner there too. Just staring at you silently with his creepy, dead eyes. Oh, is that you, Jared? I thought you were a painting of an orphan from the Great Depression. But the truth is, the most tantalising moments may turn out to be the things that Comey didn't or wasn't able to say, like in this exchange.
Do you believe Donald Trump colluded with Russia?
It's a question I don't think I should answer in an open setting.
Yeah, I can't answer that question here, although I have been screaming the word yes into this paper bag for the last 4 weeks, which I can submit as evidence to the committee if required. I will, however, need to be provided with a new scream bag. Now, Comey declining to answer doesn't necessarily mean there's anything there. He could just be operating out of an abundance of caution. But there was a moment where he seemed to hint at something new, and it came when discussing the FBI's lack of surprise at Attorney General Jeff Sessions recusing himself from the Russia investigation.
Our judgment, as I recall, was that he was very close to and inevitably going to recuse himself for a variety of reasons. We also were aware of facts that I can't discuss in an open setting that would make his continued engagement in a Russia-related investigation problematic.
Now that sounds like a big deal. If someone asks you if you've ever had sex with a turtle and you say, there are facts about that I can't discuss in an open setting, the answer is yes. And the closed setting you'd prefer to discuss it in is eggslist.com, a message board for finding hot, freshly hatched turtles to have sex with. Now, all in all, Comey's testimony appears pretty damaging for the White House, and in the immediate aftermath, even only Donald Trump could use a conversation about missile strikes in the Middle East to advertise the cake at Mar-a-Lago. Which, by the way, you might want to think twice about trying, given that just this week it was reported the club's kitchen was cited for 13 health code violations for, among other things, fish that had not undergone proper parasite destruction and storing ham at 57 degrees. Because nothing says upscale dining like lukewarm ham with a side of tapeworm. And if you're thinking, well, hold on, perhaps the president brought up the cake because he wanted to be extra precise about every single detail. Well, let's rejoin that interview just 1 minute later.
So what happens is, I said, we've just launched 59 missiles heading to Iraq.
Well, you headed to Syria?
Yes, heading toward Syria.
I honestly wish she just kept naming places to see if he kept agreeing with her. Headed to Egypt. Yes, headed to Egypt. Headed to Dollywood. Yes, headed to Dollywood. Headed straight for us. Yes, headed straight for us right now. Now, as we mentioned last week, the bigger issue with Trump's sudden bombing of Syria is it runs directly counter to everything he'd said previously through tweets like, what I am saying is stay out of Syria. But it turned out that was just a warm-up for a week full of foreign policy flip-flops.
President Trump making a number of stunning reversals as he faces multiple foreign policy crises after repeatedly calling NATO obsolete on the campaign trail.
NATO, in my opinion, is obsolete.
Now, Mr. Trump changing his tone.
I said it was obsolete. It's no longer obsolete.
It is incredibly annoying how long it took Donald Trump to reach a conclusion that everyone else had already reached. It's like a flat earther finally admitting the earth is round. Yes, you are finally right, but I'm still mad at you that you ever believed that shit in the first place. And that's just the beginning. He also U-turned on calling China a currency manipulator, replacing Fed Chair Janet Yellen, and his criticisms of the Export-Import Bank. And you may be happy with those reversals, but if you are a Trump supporter, you might be rightly pissed off. This is not what you thought you bought. It's like getting tickets for the vagina monologues, but on the night you went, it starred Brian Dennehy, who's great. Look, don't get me wrong, but it's not really what you signed up for. And sometimes Trump's 180s seem to happen in real time. For instance, his long-standing belief that North Korea could easily be taken care of by China apparently changed moments after he brought it up to Xi Jinping.
Mr. Xi then explained the history of China and Korea. Mr. Trump said, after listening for 10 minutes, he said, "I realize it's not so easy."
Xi Jinping got him to completely change his mind after just 10 minutes. And how did he even explain something that complicated in so short a time? I genuinely want to know that. Because if this show did a segment on grapes, we'd need 20 minutes and an appearance from a marching band. The president seems to change his mind based on any information that is new to him, which seems to be almost any information. And that is genuinely worrying. We have a leader operating on a learner's permit, and we were reminded just this week of what a president has at his disposal.
We learned a short time ago, for the first time in combat, the U.S. military dropped a 21,000-pound bomb in eastern Afghanistan. Inside the Air Force, inside the military, it quite seriously is referred to as the mother of all bombs.
OK, now there is obviously a lot to unpack there, but let's just take a minute and appreciate the fact that we finally reached a point where mothers can be bombs too. Hashtag mom bombs, hashtag feminism. But minutes after that historic bomb dropped, Trump took a victory lap that was tripped up slightly by one very simple question.
We are so proud of our military, and it was another successful event.
Did you authorize it to?
Everybody knows exactly what happened, and what I do is I authorize my military. We have the greatest military in the world, and they've done a job as usual, so we have given them total authorization.
What the fuck was that? That was a yes or no question to which you vomited 38 words, none of which were yes or no, although, to be fair, none of them were Holocaust Center either, so I guess we should be at least partially relieved. And incidentally, later reports suggest that the US commander who ordered the bomb drop didn't need and didn't request President Trump's approval, which means Trump has placed a significant amount of authority in the hands of his commanders. And you may think that's good. You may think that's bad. President Trump. Two words that continue to sound unnatural together, like walrus porn or Tilda Swinton. Now, on Tuesday, Trump visited the Museum of African American History and Culture, promising to unite a divided country. And if you didn't hear about that, it's probably because it happened on the very same day he did this.
The Trump administration this morning laying out plans to aggressively crack down on illegal immigration, potentially sparking a steep increase in deportations and stoking fears among immigrant communities.
OK, so that's upsetting even by Donald Trump standards, because normally when he wants to terrify an immigrant, he just texts Melania, coming home early, feeling horny. Now, this new plan gives ICE agents much greater latitude in who they can pursue and deport, and it includes hiring 15,000 new Border Patrol and immigration officers, which might actually be difficult, as they've already had so much trouble finding qualified applicants. There are currently around 2,000 vacancies. It seems immigration agents is the hardest job to fill, right after personal assistant to Mariah Carey. I want a limo for my dog and mirrors that make me look like it's 1997. Go get me there. Now, many people were alarmed by the new guidelines, and it frankly didn't help when the president seemed to escalate the stakes out of nowhere.
We're getting really bad dudes out of this country, and at a rate that nobody's ever seen before. And they're the bad ones. And it's a military operation.
OK. First, please stop using the phrase bad dudes. Please. I understand that you're trying to wean yourself off bad hombres, but it still feels like a lateral move. But more importantly, what was that you said about a military operation? That is a casual way to mention that you've deployed the armed forces. And luckily for everyone, Emmy-winning actress Melissa McCarthy was on hand to set the record straight with the world's least convincing explanation.
The president was using that as an adjective. It's happening with precision.
OK, Mel, but presidents really need to be precise with language. When you're the commander-in-chief, the term military operation has consequences. It's not just a meaningless word you can throw around like consultant or superfood. But please don't think that Trump just went after immigrants this week, because he targeted children too.
Schools and students are facing uncertainty today after the Trump administration withdrew federal guidance on transgender bathroom use in public schools.
Yes, it seems one by one Trump is delivering on his promise to make entire subsets of the American citizenry concerned about their safety and well-being again. Hashtag Masota Cat Soba. But this is gratuitous in so many ways. The guidelines had already been suspended last summer, and there's a Supreme Court case that may settle many of these issues, on top of which all the guidelines recommended was that students be called by their preferred name and pronoun, be allowed to use the restrooms and locker rooms consistent with their gender identity, and, regardless of gender, be able to wear a tux to prom or a dress in yearbook photos, which is a good rule. If the government wants to address an actual problem with yearbooks, maybe ban quotes by Dave Matthews. Oh, really, Dylan? You've got so much to say, evidence is stacking up to the contrary. And look, as we've discussed before on this show, anti-transgender rules like bathroom bills are almost always rooted in deep sexual fear-mongering. The idea that they would provide cover for predators to sneak into ladies' locker rooms, despite the fact there is virtually no evidence of that happening. What there are reports of are of Trump himself barging in on women and teenagers who competed in his pageants while they changed, something that, in characteristic style, he has both denied and been recorded on tape bragging about.
I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Yeah, you do seem to sort of get away with it, which is exactly why, if we really want to protect women from predators, let's stop wasting our time with pointless, vindictive bathroom laws and instead launch a military operation to ban the president himself from women's rooms nationwide. And now, this.
And now, some random thoughts from WCBS2 meteorologist John Elliott.
So I'm told that if the light would hit him just right, Thomas Jefferson had red hair. So there's your first redheaded president. Hey, you know what? Our buddy Joe Iavelli ran in the New York City Marathon. He didn't break any records, but, you know, he ran and he finished. So way to go. That is great. That's Julie.